I wanted to try to do Mum justice. Her father, my grandfather, used to say, if a job's worth doing, it's worth doing well. So I hope I don't miss out too much, and I hope I manage to hold it together by the end as well. Before I forget, you're very welcome to join us afterwards at the Abbey Hotel, the Shaw Suite, named after George Bernard Shaw. Mum's death was very sudden and unexpected, so I didn't have a chance to discuss things with her as I would have liked. But firstly, I'd like to thank you all for coming, family and friends, some from as far as Cornwall. A very quick life story. Mum was born in Birmingham, in Gravelly Hill, near what is now Spaghetti Junction, but it was in 1928, well before the motorway was built. She was the middle of 3 daughters. Her older sister Margaret died a few years ago, and her younger sister Melita is still alive, but not well enough to make it today, unfortunately. But thanks to Jane and to Helen for coming. Their mother died of breast cancer in 1937, aged just 36, when Mum was 9. 80 years ago this September. And I'll be visiting my grandmother's grave, I'll try to visit anyway, on the anniversary next month, just before Rowena returns to university. The photo on the back of the order of service was taken in Christmas 1935, just a couple of years before her mother died. Her father remarried, and her brother Trevor came along during the war. The Second World War, I hasten to add. It's nice to see Trevor here today. Mum was evacuated to Worcester with her sister Margaret at the beginning of the war to get away from the bombing in Birmingham, so it's strange that she should live quite close in Malden. Aged 16, she started work in the education department in central Birmingham, and eventually came to know Dad, who was also working in Birmingham with Lloyd's Bank. We lived in Northfield as a family initially, then moved to Warwick in 1960, I think, shortly after I was born with Dad's work. Then Goring-on-Thames in the mid-60s, where we spent many happy years. I have good memories of going on railway tours with Mum from there, particularly to Dawlish, where I could swim in the sea and watch the trains go by. Dad was transferred again to Great Malvern in the early 70s, and they bought their house at auction. They particularly enjoyed the garden, and especially the roses along the front. But they were not so pleased when a large oak tree fell on the roof during a storm in January 1990. They had to move out for several months while the roof was replaced. One particular thing I have memories of with Mum is marmalade. My earliest memory. I'd like to take you back to before the days of supermarkets. Buying a jar of marmalade, Golden Shred I think it was, from a grocery store in the centre of Warwick, she placed it on top of a bag full of shopping. I'd offered to carry it, but before I could, it fell off into the gutter and smashed. Boy, was I cross about the waste. I was about 6. She would make marmalade from a can of Marmaid when I was younger, putting it on a saucer to test the setting consistency, and I'd lick it off with my finger. Warm, sweet, and tangy. Yummy. And we made it together about a month ago. I took photos, of course, which I'm pleased about. It was just before the expiry date of the can of marmalade. And I put the photo on Facebook this morning. Mum liked holidays. With Dad, she enjoyed going on cruises around the world. I would offer to take her away for a few days in later years, but she was happy to remain at home with the television and radio for company. And she talked to Dad, whose ashes are still in a container in the corner of the lounge. The last time she went away was with Sue to to see her sister Margaret in Cornwall, who was bedbound at the time. But Mum would roam the world from her armchair. She liked travel documentaries which she'd record and we'd watch them together on TV. She particularly enjoyed ones made by Simon Reeve. Mum didn't really suffer from any illness. She wasn't on any medication, no hospital for her. She hadn't seen the doctor since last September. Her legs became a little painful, and she was grateful to Dot for looking after her feet. Thank you for coming, Dot. Where are you? Thank you. However, she did suffer from age-related dry macular degeneration, which made it difficult for her to see, especially in poor light. She loved reading newspapers to keep up with the latest events. She also liked to use Facebook on her iPad, and I put many of her old photos on there for her to see more easily. I still have more to do. And as it happens, her Facebook profile picture was taken here at Dad's funeral in 2011. She was fortunate to have very good neighbours, particularly the immediate ones, Steve and Caroline, who would bring her Christmas lunch. Thank you for coming. And Jeremy and Margaret, who had the unfortunate experience of discovering her after I'd tried phoning her that Saturday. Thank you all for coming, and thank you all for your help. I'll be forever grateful. And I know Jeremy isn't particularly feeling 100% at the moment, so thank you for coming. To say that Mum was housebound would give the wrong impression. She wasn't. But her mobility wasn't great, and latterly she had difficulty standing for any length of time. She wouldn't even go in the garden without someone being with her, in case she fell. She did manage to get a taxi every other week to have her hair done with Heidi. We became friends, and we had a routine. I'd bring her shopping every Tuesday from Tesco in Worcester on my way over, including beef and Stilton sandwiches. I recommend the combination, Laurie. And we'd have a creme caramel each to finish, which slipped down nicely. The last time I saw her, she requested strawberries and cream. Wimbledon was on, so I cut them up and we enjoyed a bowl of them each. She always had a list of jobs for me. She liked lists. Just small things like reading the gas meter and paying the bill for the newspapers. Little things meant a lot, she'd say. She remained cheerful to the last. I put some recent photos on Mum's Facebook just this morning. Steve and Caroline had commented, "What lovely smiley photos of a dear and precious neighbour." Sue and I visited her in the Chapel of Rest yesterday to pay our respects. To finish, I'd just like to say, we'll miss you. Thanks for everything.